Want to win money on sports? With Underdog, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash just by picking higher or lower on your favorite player stats. Millions of fans have won billions of dollars on Underdog. Will you be next? Download the Underdog app and sign up to get a free pick with your first cash entry up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Welcome in to It's Always Sunny in Chiefs Kingdom. I'm Austin. Find me on Twitter at RealBirdLawyer and on Blue Sky, Bird Law Expert. Usually on Twitter on game day and then, for a couple of days after game day, because Twitter is still really the most adversarial, disgusting, app for confronting people and rubbing their faces in the dirt. So really my preferred time to be on that app is sort of like Monday, Tuesday after a win. And then I like to take a little detox, go over to Blue Sky, Bird Law Expert on Blue Sky. If you want to read tweets about my personal life, what kind of miniatures I'm painting right now, posting those over on a Blue Sky. But then, I like to come get the let out on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday on Twitter. Here with me, as always, my co-host Taylor at Taylor_Wit on Twitter. And are you still IASIC on Blue Sky, or are you switching it up?
For now, I'm IASIC still. I may go back to Taylor_Wit or Taylor.Wit or some type of. I haven't made a brand decision yet. So for now, find me at IASIC.
Okay. All right. So while we wait for you to decide your branding on Blue Sky, let's give the listeners updates about our listener fantasy leagues, because it is the first week of the fantasy playoffs, and we've been a little bit negligent about updating everybody on our listener fantasy leagues. And of course, we have 3 listener fantasy leagues, and they're all amazing and they're all a huge blast. So let's give credit where it's due. In our redraft league, congratulations to Roscoe836, who has earned promotion to the listener dynasty league because he had the highest scoring team in the regular season, beating out BP, BPSA, BPSAE. I'm never sure how those are. Bipsay,
Bipsay.
Bipsay, and Jake Fisher 4. This one, the scoring title came down to the final week of the regular season, and Roscoe actually came from behind to take the scoring title, and he earns automatic elevation to the Dynasty League. And these 3, Bipsay, Jake Fisher, and Roscoe, were joined in the playoffs by Maverick 15, Chief 270, and WB Jewel for a chance at the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl champion, of course, will also be joining us in the Listener Dynasty League. And I say us, we'll get to that, but congratulations to our redraft playoff field. Very impressive work by all of those guys.
Yes, really, really good job. Obviously redraft is it's an interesting. You got to draft well up front, at the beginning of the year, and these guys all did that. And it's good competition. It's not a walk-in by any means. Those people in that league all knew what they were doing and had a lot of fun. So it was good for us to observe them and watch as the carnage unfolded this year.
Now, in the Dynasty League, obviously for 2 teams to come up, 2 teams have to go down. And I didn't write anything down. I'm going off script. I'm not Ron Burgundying this, but you're in the losers bracket this year. So do you have a plan to avoid elimination? Because otherwise you may be observing the redraft league firsthand.
So not only am I in the losers bracket, I have a bye in the first round of the toilet bowl. I was the 11th seed out of the 12 teams in the Dynasty League this year.
After playing in the Super Bowl in Dynasty
in the
last
Super Bowl and in Dynasty, not much changed. Josh Allen and Devontae Adams and some of those guys. I had Derrick Henry, and I had guys that scored, but it just didn't work for me this year. And so I'm the 11th seed, which means the losers bracket is the opposite of a playoff, where you want to win to get out of the bracket. If you lose, you get flushed to the next round of the bracket. And so my bye means that I only have 2 games to not get relegated. I have to either win the quarterfinal or the final, or the semifinal or the final, to not be a redraft member next year. There's all kinds of funny things with our promotion and relegation system. Not one of which is that the two teams that were promoted last year, Z-Man
Yeah.
and German Chief, are playoff teams this year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
without even so we build in an amnesty from relegation in your first year. We want to make sure that your first year up, you don't immediately come into a bad team and get flushed immediately. Like that would suck. So we had this whole system where even if they're in the toilet bowl, they would get an automatic win in the first round of their toilet bowl so that they wouldn't get flushed. They're not in the toilet bowl, neither one of them. They're in the playoffs. So that's a lot of fun. But yes, I don't have a plan. I think I'm just going to join the redraft team next year, the league, and say hi to all those wonderful people.
It wouldn't be so bad if you were to go down there and have a man. We'd have an inside horse, a man on the inside.
Jesus.
But yes, Z-Man and German Chief won the points and Super Bowl elevations from the redraft league last year. German Chief, of course, in his first year playing fantasy ever and drafting from Germany time.
Yes.
And he's captained then, the dynasty team that was, we put all the players from the two lowest teams last year into a draft, and they were able to draft their own teams, and they're both playoff teams. So they
They did
took
great.
the two worst teams in the league and turned them both into playoff teams somehow.
That's never going to happen
Congratulations
again.
them. I mean, incredible. I mean, really amazing work by both of them. Mr. J 1128 and the
Caw.
defending champion in like Flint 26 earned the two first round buys in the Dynasty League, despite neither of them finishing top two in scoring. That honor belonged to Dennis, DP Owens J, and myself, with my team rising from sixth in scoring to 4 points behind Dennis over the final 2 weeks of the season. I almost edged him out for the highest scoring team in the league just this last week, but I was not quite able to finish that. I do finish in the money with the second highest scoring team, but neither Dennis nor myself have buys because we couldn't, it's still head to head, and
Dennis was 7-7 with the
we didn't get
best
the wins
scoring
with
team
the
in
highest
the.
scoring team in the league.
But he also gave up the most points, and that's not obviously his fault or a fault of any fantasy team that gives up the most points. But he was 7-7, and then the lowest scoring team in the league was also 7-7. So it's also it's crazy to me that we could have two teams that are the highest and the lowest score at 500. That's insane.
But fortunately, because we know ball, we do have wild cards in our
We
league.
do.
And so in the event that, this had been determined by record, we would have booted one of those teams out and put the higher scoring team in because we know ball and our fantasy leagues are well run and they're a ton of fun. And that brings us to the Cutthroat League, which is our greatest and best league. It's been a while. When we checked in on the Cutthroat League last, you had just scraped by a couple of cuts in a row. You then, the next week after we sort of did our recap, you survived Volk 50's super team. He was the highest scoring team in the league. Unexpectedly goes down in week 9. And then you lasted until week 10. How'd you take the L and get eliminated from Cutthroat?
At this point, I'm extremely used to taking fantasy L's this season. I have 6 teams, and I have either been cut in my 2 cutthroat leagues or are last or second to last in the 4 dynasty leagues. So I have really, really, really taken it on the chin this year in fantasy, and so this was no different. I was actually relieved. You don't have to you don't have to stress every week being the not lowest scorer. I'm happy for those of you that are still in the cutthroat league, but I bowed out gracefully.
You had a New York Giants stack, Daniel Jones and Malik Neighbors, and it didn't work out for you in week 10. Since you got eliminated, we've lost Dr. Weiss, we lost Osho, Casey Jared, who, by the way, somehow survived to week 12 with a team that he didn't even auto draft. Like his draft wasn't working. Like he couldn't bid. So he actually only got players that he didn't want. Like the auto draft didn't even give him any of the players that he wanted because the players that he wanted, it would not bid on. He just was having a terrible time. He did make it to week 12. Dennis DPO and Jay goes down to week 13. And then just this last week, we lost Loco, JJ, which means we're down to the final 3. Casey Puerto Rican, Roscoe 836, who is having the opposite of your fantasy year. Highest scoring
Roscoe
team in redraft
ball.
and top 3 in Cutthroat. So automatically elevated to the Dynasty League, and he's in the final three in Cutthroat. And
He's probably like Field Yates, honestly. Like
yeah, he probably is.
I didn't interview him or anything, so
Sure.
he's some shark, I'm sure.
He could be hustling us, but he's not going to hustle me because I'm in the top three in Cutthroat. I
Yep.
won last year.
Congrats.
I'm in the top three this year. I'm just going to say it. I don't want to jinx
Team
myself.
stacked.
I have the best team in Cutthroat. My team
Stacked.
is much better than Puerto Rican and Roscoe's teams. Okay, like I
Your
have the
team
only.
scored
I'm the only team with any money.
248 points last week.
248.
248 points.
Yeah,
You had, of
248.
course, the Josh Allen 54 burger, but
Yeah.
you also had 42 out of Jamar Chase, 30 out of Justin Jefferson, 30 out of Isaac Guerrero, 25 out of Joe Burrow. Your team's loaded.
I have the four best quarterbacks in fantasy.
That seems
I
good.
have the two best wide receivers. I just picked up Saquon Barkley from Loco this week, which is great because I just lost Christian McCaffrey last week. Puka Nacua, I mean, he just went off for 40. He was on my bench last week. I wasn't sure. I started Isaac Guerrero instead, and I still scored 240 with Puka Nacua on the bench. So listen, I have now survived 32 straight weeks without being eliminated in our Cutthroat League. Which is
the greatest run in fantasy football history.
Which is astounding. And if I repeat in a 16-team single elimination Cutthroat League, I'm just going to have to retire from fantasy because there's just nothing better than that. Except for the show, we got a great show for you guys. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be even better than my record at Cutthroat. I'm going to bring it. We've got news. We've got a recap for the second straight week, a Chiefs 19-17 victory, this time over the Chargers. And yeah, I guess we'll talk about Chiefs at Browns, but like at this point, I feel like we know exactly what's going to happen in that game. It's just going to be the same as it ever was. Let's kick it off with news. So the injury situation this week, for the second week in a row, we've got a pretty favorable injury situation for the Chiefs. The big news is DJ Humphries obviously came out to play left tackle for the Chiefs on Sunday against the Chargers and had to come out of that game with a hamstring injury. They did an MRI on him, and he didn't practice on Wednesday. So we don't know how long this is going to keep him out or if it's going to keep him out this week. It's tricky because obviously he was rehabbing from that knee injury, was able to come back, and had just finally gotten himself up to the point where he was healthy enough to play in a game for the Chiefs. And now he's got the hamstring injury. Just a tricky, tough situation for DJ Humphries because he clearly still has the highest ceiling of any left tackle on the team. But this is a guy who is working his way back from an injury and doesn't have the reps. And you can't just put him in bubble wrap because you need him out there with Patrick Mahomes and Joe Tooney and the rest of the offensive line to build that chemistry. That's important. But at the same time, he's still working his way back from an injury, and now he has a new injury to the hamstring. You've got a soft tissue injury there. That's really tricky to be able to push that, especially for, a tackle that's got to be able to push off, really work that lower body. Tough situation with the DJ Humphries injury.
Yeah, for some reason, this one's not really registering for me on the panic scale. I think a couple factors. I think number one, because he's the 87,000th Chief that's gotten hurt this year. So
sure. Yeah.
At this point, who hasn't gotten hurt on the team? And then number two, the left tackle play has been so poor. It'd be a difference if the Chiefs had like a Rashee Rice got hurt, was playing amazing, guy comes in that's supposed to replace him, like DeAndre Hopkins, and then DeAndre Hopkins gets hurt, and then you're like thinking like, what are we going to do to replace that production? But like a hurt DJ Humphries is no different to me than a healthy Wanya Morris or Kingsley Suamataia. Like they're all bad right now, and so I'm willing to give Humphries a pass, knocking off some rust, and that was a hell of a defensive line to go out there in your first game against.
Sure.
Bosa and Mack, and I mean the Chargers defense they bring it, and they're the number one scoring defense in the NFL. So let's see what he does over the next couple weeks if he can get out there and be healthy. But no, it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah. What might bother you is that the Chiefs' other tackle, Juwan Taylor, also limited on Wednesday. He did practice, but he has a knee injury and he was limited. So the Chiefs' tackle situation this year has just been, it's crazy. It feels like everything that could go wrong has gone wrong, injury-wise, performance-wise. They haven't been playing well. They haven't been healthy. But the Chiefs did get some good news on the injury front this week. Harrison Butker is designated to return from IR. He was a limited participant on Wednesday. Remains to be seen whether he will be up to speed and play this week against the Browns, but it does seem like he is close to returning.
What do you think limited participation for a kicker is like in
Yeah, I don't know.
practice?
That's a great question.
Like
I have no
he
idea.
he shows up, he daps up a couple coaches or whatever, and then he does the hand
Yeah,
lineup for his kick,
right.
but then just
Yeah.
doesn't kick. And they're like, "Yep, limited participation. There you go, bud." Yeah, I mean, obviously the Chiefs have not been hurt by his absence, which is a surprise. There have been
Yeah.
close games. They've needed field goals. They've needed big late field goals, and both Matthew Wright and even for a game Spencer Schrader came through. And now Butker's going to come back after not having, played for a couple weeks. And the only thing I would worry at all about would be a little bit of rust with him. He had obviously knee surgery. So if he comes back and shanks an extra point or something, we just got to hope that it's in one of these meaningless regular season games. But yeah, I mean, that's good news that it was only the planned 4 weeks. When he went on IR, they said this is a 4 week injury or a 4 week, absence. He should be back in 5 weeks, and it's 5 weeks later, and looks like he's coming back.
Uh, in other news, Hollywood Brown is not back at practice yet. He hasn't officially been designated to return from IR, but per Nate Taylor, the Athletic Chiefs beat reporter, he should return this week. It sounds like he may be designated to return and may even start practicing this week. The timeline for him has always been Christmas. Well, not always, but we've known for a few weeks now that that's kind of what he's targeting as far as a return date. I mean, that's 2 weeks away, buddy. We're 2 weeks away from Christmas and 2 weeks away from being able to unwrap that delicious Hollywood Brown present under the tree.
Yeah, it's a big one. Clearly of all the injuries this year, he's the biggest guy to get back, except for maybe Pacheco, I suppose. But certainly a big part of what the Chiefs wanted to do to come into the season on offense involved Hollywood Brown. And I don't know anything about how he's going to look coming back or even really how he looked before he got hurt because we
Right.
never saw it. But I do know that he's battled through plenty of injuries in his career, which is both, good and bad. Bad maybe because he seems a little fragile, but good because he knows what the rehab process is like and he knows how to get back to game shape and how he feels. And he said he feels great. Um, let's go. It's going to be the end of the year is going to be really interesting for the Chiefs from a standings perspective. And there's all the chance in the world that the games that Hollywood plays in at the end of the year are tune-ups, are just him going out
Right.
there to knock off some rust while the Chiefs already have everything, clinched up and stuff. So, I mean, it's not a bad situation for him. I would much rather him get some of these late regular season games in than maybe have his first game in the divisional round of the playoffs. I would feel a little nervous about that. So, yeah, let's get him up to speed and go. Let's roll.
In other news, not injury related, but the Chiefs made a signing. Cornerback Steven Nelson returns to Kansas City, joining the practice squad. The Chiefs have been a little bit guarded, a little bit mum about what sort of their long-term expectations are for Steven Nelson. But obviously, cornerback is a position that has been giving the Chiefs trouble ever since Jalen Watson went down and went to IR. We still don't know when or whether he's going to be able to come back this season. Jalen Watson, I mean. So Steven Nelson coming, I think I read that he came out of retirement. Now, I don't know whether he ever formally retired, but he hadn't been playing with an NFL team this year. And it's been a while since Steven Nelson was a Kansas City Chief. He obviously last played for Bob Sutton. And this Chiefs defense obviously took a huge step forward after Steven Nelson left. And he was a much maligned player when he was here in Kansas City. But he had a really strong run with Pittsburgh. He played a season with Philly. And then the last 2 years with the Texans. I mean, really, he's been in terms of like PFF grade and even the accolades, some of the accolades that he has received, he's had a really strong performance since he left Kansas City. He is 31 now, so he's getting a little bit long in the tooth for a cornerback, and obviously we all know Steven Nelson not really known for his ball skills, but I mean, I don't hate the signing. I know a lot of people were really upset about it because they remember the bad Steven Nelson, but he was playing in a Bob Sutton defense, and man, you got to think that with all of the magic that the Chiefs are able to work with their defensive backs, Dave Merritt and Steve Spagnuolo out there coaching those guys up, I'm kind of intrigued by it. And I definitely don't hate it.
I don't hate it either. And I mean, first of all, he's depth, and the Chiefs need cornerback depth. I don't really care who the guy is. I think bringing in depth at this point with all the injuries and stuff is fine. You know, the one concern that I would have would be why did he not have a job right now?
Right.
Like,
Sure.
I mean, obviously age and all that stuff is a factor. But I think about Kareem Hunt, and he didn't have a job, and the Chiefs brought him in off the couch, and he's been a valuable member of the team. So it's not to say that that's impossible by any means. He obviously has the pedigree. He obviously wants to come back for a little taste of what the new version of the Chiefs is, which is
Hmm.
a Super Bowl winning, best team in the league. That is not the version of the Chiefs that he left, and maybe there is something just to kind of a shot back in the arm for him and kind of rewriting some past mistakes or whatever. I don't know what goes into Steven Nelson mentally for this, but if they need to elevate a cornerback and go play on Sundays, you could pick worse guys than Steven Nelson to do it. So I'm into it.
This is not Chiefs related news, but I feel like we have to talk about this because it's just so weird. The University of North Carolina football team has hired a new head football coach, and it's six-time Super Bowl champion winning head coach of the New England Patriots, Bill Belichick. So Bill leaves New England, fired, let go, semi-voluntarily, whatever it was. He doesn't secure a head coaching job. There was some interest from the Falcons, and he didn't end up landing that job. Nobody else was really even interested in Bill Belichick. He takes a year off to do TV, and he's now coming back into coaching, but to coach in college for UNC. And I mean, this is a guy that obviously he's right ahead of Andy Reid in the all-time wins ranking for the NFL. This kind of feels like he's not going to coach in the NFL again, which is weird.
It is weird. The whole fit's weird. Now, if he had taken a job at Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan, whatever, USC,
Sure.
one of the big names in college football, I could at least be like, all right, I get it. I get that challenge for him. I get the draw and some of the other like
He wants to try
North.
and add a natty to those Super
Yeah,
Bowl rings,
like he
maybe,
wants to be successful, and if he can't be successful in the NFL, he's going to go do the next highest level of college or football. I get all that. What I don't understand is North Carolina. I I wonder how many of those big name jobs even knew he was available to coach at a level like North Carolina. They probably would have been like, well, we're going to, definitely fire our guy if we can bring in the GOAT. And it just feels below him, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel
Yeah.
like coaching the North Carolina Tar Heels, who were 6-6 this year and have never done anything at the college football level, is like it's like a retirement vacation or something. It's like he's just saying, "Well, I don't like this TV thing that I've been doing this year. That was not really up my alley. I kind of want to yell at some football players, but like none of these professional teams are hiring me to yell at their football players, and I wonder if that's because I keep telling people I want to be a GM and they keep saying, "Well, you're not good at a GM." And I keep saying, "Well, then screw you. I'm not going to work for you." And the only team left is the freaking North Carolina Tar Heels. It's bizarre. Doesn't make any sense to me.
It's very strange. And what it means, I mean, the way that we can get this looped back into a Chiefs conversation is Andy Reid's going to pass Bill Belichick. If Andy Reid wants to keep coaching for two, maybe three more years, I mean, he's going to pass Bill. He's only three playoff wins behind Bill Belichick, which is crazy. And in the regular season, he's not that much further behind him. I mean, Andy has a real chance now. If Bill is getting zero, any win that Andy banks, he's catching up on Bill. Every time he wins a game, and of course, the Chiefs have already won 12 games this year, they have a chance to go on to win hopefully three playoff games. They could potentially win four playoff games this year. I mean, he could surpass Bill Belichick in wins, and he could get, I mean, to get to 6 Super Bowls, Andy obviously would have to win 3 more. But I mean, we're talking about being able to pass Bill Belichick in regular season and playoff wins within the next 3 years. If Andy wants to keep coaching that long, I don't think even last year, the last year that I mean, I guess that was 2 years ago now, but even 2 years ago when Bill was run out of New England, I don't think if you could have gotten Vegas odds on that on Andy
Hmm.
passing Bill Belichick and wins, I feel like it would have been a huge long shot. I mean, you're talking about plus 2,000 or something like that, right?
Right, right. And the reason for that long shot was because if the bet had been, was that the last game that Bill Belichick would coach in the NFL? That
Right,
bet would be
right,
massively in favor of no. I mean, everyone assumed, even if not that offseason, everyone thought that offseason that he would be the number one hire in the league. And he didn't get a job, and that was surprising. That was really weird to see the coach carousel come to a full stop and no Bill Belichick. And then he did the TV thing, and I think everyone just thought he was waiting for the right NFL job. It was more that he was picking and choosing. He was going to say,
right.
well, that roster has the quarterback that I want to win with and all that stuff. I'm going to choose that team. Like it seemed inevitable. And now he's just kind of not going to be an NFL coach and maybe ever again. I'm not used to it.
Happy trails, Bill. Bye.
Join over 5 million fans. They're already playing Underdog with their Pick'em game. You could win money by making entries with your favorite players. You could win up to 1,000 times your money. 1,000's pretty good by choosing higher or lower on player stats like passing yards, interceptions, touchdowns. You name the stat, you can pick them. Every dog deserves a second chance, a motto that I certainly appreciate from Underdog. And with Underdog Rescues, you can get your money back and receive a promo if an early injury causes your entry to lose. We all know in football, those injuries are rough. Chiefs fans know that more than anybody. We love the vulture protection. If you designate a running back to score a touchdown in your pick'em entry and they get vultured by their backup running back, we will rescue your entry. Underdog will. So that's cool. This week, the Chiefs are playing the Browns, and I just don't know what to do with my life anymore. And I don't know on these higher lowers if I want to play the Chiefs are finally going to break out game, or if I want to play conservative and pick the lowers on all the Chiefs numbers. I think what I'm going to go with this week, it feels pretty safe that Travis Kelce against the Cleveland Browns is almost a lock to score a touchdown, even if he doesn't get the receptions or yards. I just feel like he's going back home to Cleveland. That seems like a pretty obvious target. So he, of course, an anytime touchdown for him. Higher on that is 1.24 times your money. Seems like pretty reasonable bets. So I'm going to go with Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown for my underdog bet of the week. Download the app today. Use promo code KINGDOM, KINGDOM, to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Download the app today. Promo code KINGDOM, $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Select higher or lower in your favorite players. Cash in on Underdog. Every player, every touchdown. Just select higher or lower on Underdog. Must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 or older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369.
Well, we have a 1917 Chiefs victory to recap, and I'm not talking about the 1917 victory of the Chiefs over the Raiders last week. I'm talking about now over the Chargers, 19-17. Yes, for the second week in a row, the Chiefs win the game by the bizarre NFL score of 19-17. And I just gotta say, Taylor, I'm proud of you because this new Chief system that we devised and we debuted last week, it's a banger. And as the game was unfolding, you texted me each letter in sequence as it happened.
Yeah.
And it really just worked out perfectly. So perhaps you could remind our listeners how we've reworked the Chief system to capture the unique essence of the 2024 Kansas City Chiefs. And then we'll go through it together.
Gladly. So we came to the realization a while ago, actually, and just hadn't reworked the system, that the system used to work. It used to be the system that the Chiefs used when they won games. And lately, it just hadn't fit. And there were some letters in the Chiefs system of old that we were proud to designate, like inspire hope and finish strong and all those fun stuff. Separate entirely was maybe the biggest one that they don't do anymore. So we reworked it, and this we still have the chief system. It's still, letter by letter, but it now stands for C, cool, great. Cool, great, as in sarcastically, like, okay, great start to this. Anyway. H, hell no. I, I'm livid. E, everything sucks. F, fucking seriously. And of course, S, still won because despite all of that, the Chiefs, of course, we'll keep with the max system if the Chiefs ever lose another football game. We'll still stick with Morninghue's Coke. But for now, for this system, this is the only way we can describe this new version, the new reality that the Chiefs face, which is it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be pretty. They're not going to do anything you want them to do all throughout the game, and yet they're going to still find a way to win. It's the meme. This new Chief system is the meme incarnate in a form that our podcast can recap the game in.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun.
We'll see. So we're going to start with C. Cool. Great. The Chiefs begin the game on an 11-play, 4-minute and 55-second drive. Pretty typical Chiefs drives in 2024, but it only goes 34. Yeah.
Does sound cool and great.
It does. That's a non-sarcastic cool and great until you see that it only goes 34 yards. The Chiefs went from their 37, which I meant to look this up. I don't remember when the last time the Chiefs ran a kickback as deep as the 37-yard line, which feels like, every other team in the NFL does on a routine basis. But the Chiefs have not gotten long kickoffs, and that's not even that long. But anyway, they started at their 37 on the opening kickoff and went to the Chargers' 29-yard line and then stalled, settled for a Matthew Wright 47-yard field goal, took the early 3-point lead. So cool, great. The Chiefs still aren't doing a great job of finishing drives. This was their 14th time in the last 15 offensive drives from back to the Carolina game through this first drive that they've failed to score a touchdown 14 out of 15 times, a stretch that is 6 field goals in 7 attempts. They had the long 59-yarder that Matthew Wright missed, but the other 6 are good field goals. 1 touchdown, and that was to Justin Watson in the Raiders game. 7 punts, and surprisingly maybe 0 turnovers. And so cool, great. The offense is boring. They can't score touchdowns anymore. They're going to drive the field all day long and kick a bunch of field goals. Great. Love it.
Yeah, this was a promising drive, too. It started off with 3 straight runs by Pacheco. They pick up a first down. Travis Kelce gets involved. Xavier Worthy gets involved on the first drive. It felt like, at least to start, this drive felt a little bit like, I don't remember which game it was last year, but it was around the same time last year when the Chiefs were struggling offensively that we had one of these games we were recapping in December. And like the first drive of the game, it was like all Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco, and Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I remember.
And we were like, finally, the Chiefs are just giving the ball to their best players. And what do you know? Look at how good this drive looks. And that's sort of what the beginning of this drive felt like. It was like, all right, we got Pacheco, we've got Travis Kelce, and we've got Xavier Worthy, who's coming along, and we'll talk about his involvement in this game. But we didn't see any DeAndre Hopkins, who obviously has been one of the Chiefs' most reliable players. And the coolest and greatest part of this drive was on 2nd and 10 at the Chargers 27 when they targeted Baylor Cup. And Baylor Cup, of course, dropped the ball that hit him right in the hands. And the very next play, Mahomes gets sacked by Khalil Mack. And Tuli Tuipulotu, and takes a 2-yard sack, and the Chiefs have to settle for a field goal. That's cool, great. It did start off cool, great, and then it became cool, great.
Yeah. They they're really doing a good job of this whole just driving us nuts thing, even when they score, even when they win. This whole system is just drives you nuts. So then you get to H, of course, which these days is hell no. The next 5 drives in this game between the two teams were all punts. They were 3 punts by the Chargers and 2 by the Chiefs. Mahomes was sacked for the second time in the game with 13 minutes left in the second quarter. So the Chiefs punted back to the Chargers. It was still 3-0. Defense was doing good work. They were holding the Chargers to punts. The Chargers were not moving this ball. But now remember, the Chargers did not have Lad McConkey. They did not have J.K. Dobbins. And they're the Chargers. So, is it really a big deal to hold them to a bunch of punts? It's not the greatest thing in the world. But The offense, the Chiefs offense, still struggling big time. The Chiefs get the
Mm,
ball back. Mahomes sacked by Derwin James for the third time in the game with only 10:41 left in the second quarter. So
yeah.
in 1 quarter and 4 minutes of play, in 19 minutes, he was sacked for 3 times, which is no good. Huge, huge, huge problem. New left tackle DJ Humphries, we've already talked about him a little bit. Looked like he was still knocking some rust off. He was not quite able to keep the pressure at bay. Again, as we also mentioned, this is a hell of a defensive line, hell of a matchup for anybody. The Chargers have made a lot of people's lives miserable on defense, but the drive stalled all the way down to the 15-yard line. Matthew Wright came in, knocked another one through the uprights, takes a 6-0 lead. But hell no, we can't keep shooting ourselves in the foot on offense and settling for field goals and getting Mahomes sacked and not able to impose our will on other teams. It just looks like things are molasses on offense. They're grinding to a halt at the wrong times. Hell no.
You want to talk about hell no? I tell you, starting off with back-to-back field goal drives is sort of the epitome of hell no. I'd almost rather not score
Yeah,
twice,
I
right?
hear you.
Like
Yeah.
congratulations, you have 2 scoring drives, but like they could get the ball back and literally have the lead, like on their
Mm-hmm.
next possession because you only scored 6 points. It's so frustrating to be able to move the ball and not be able to punch it in. And that's obviously been a season-long issue for this Chiefs offense, but it's crazy because this team has had bouts of being a good red zone team. We've seen it in the Patrick Mahomes era. And on paper, this team is, I mean, the interior offensive line is really strong. We've seen them run the ball extremely successfully. And they've got, a true ball winner in DeAndre Hopkins that they haven't had really at all ever in the Mahomes era. A guy that will catch everything thrown his way and can be a real weapon in the red zone where the field compresses. And instead, this team continues to, you said it, shoot themselves in the foot in the red zone in a way that just is incredibly frustrating. Like, you got to think about, the psychology of being the defensive coordinator on the other side. Like the Chiefs kick a field goal, they're up 6-0 in this game, and that guy can go to his players and creditably say, I mean, we're getting the ball back with the chance to take the lead. Great job. Like
Mm-hmm.
you did
Yep.
it. You've kept this game within 1 score despite the Chiefs scoring on their first true drives of this game. Yeah, that's a big hell no. A huge hell no.
It is. And what's also really funny about the failures, the Chiefs' failures, is that those include, by nature, third down failures, where the Chiefs have been elite this year. They've been the
Sure.
best
Right.
team in football at third downs. Hell, they were 8 for 15 in third down in this game. So it doesn't make much sense that the only third downs they're failing are the ones that matter at late,
Right. Right.
where you've got to keep the drive going and kick and score the touchdown. So yeah, it's been an adventure, but of course that was just H. We now get to I, and that stands for I'm livid. Another Charger 3-and-out, their third straight on offense at this point. So the Chargers can't find anything right now on offense. But yeah, we'll see how long that lasts. They give the ball back to the Chiefs with 3:28 to go in the half, and the Chiefs are up 6-0. This time, miraculously, the Chiefs go 9 plays, 77 yards, and 241. They end with a DeAndre Hopkins touchdown. They did it. So why
They
am
did
I
it.
livid? Maybe because they're entering halftime, having broken a stretch of 19 drives of their past drives with only one touchdown before this one. So they're shutting out the Chargers. It's 13-0, but I don't know how to feel. I'm livid because I just don't know what the hell to do with this team. What are they? Are they good? Are they playing with their food? What is wrong with them, if anything? Do you know what to do with this team? At 13-0 at halftime, were you livid? Because I certainly was.
I wasn't, but I should have been in hindsight because when we get to the next letter, you'll see why. But
Yeah.
I fooled myself. I was thinking like, well, 13-0 at halftime,
That's a
like
26-0 shutout.
yeah, exactly. We're on pace to shut them out 26-0. We're in control of this game. The problem is, again, I mean, it goes back to, kicking field goals on those first 2 drives. It's only a 2 possession game. I mean, all they have to do is come out, score a touchdown and a half, get a stop, score another touchdown, and they have the lead in this game. And spoiler alert, that's pretty much what happened. Not right out of the gate, but yeah, I mean, it just is. You said it. It's crazy because it just doesn't. it just doesn't matter which path we take to get to still one. It's almost always the same. The path
Mhm.
might be a little bit different. We might be down 13 to nothing at half, in which
Correct.
case we're the team that comes out and scores 2 touchdowns. And then here we are going into the fourth quarter. Maybe we have a lead. Maybe we have a 10-point deficit. It doesn't matter because at the end of the game, we're all freaking out because the other team has a chance to win under a minute left in the game. And, you know, it has almost always worked out. But I mean, I was pretty livid that this ended up being a competitive game because I just, like it would be great to win comfortably every once in a
Hmm.
while. It'd be fun.
Yeah, it's a novel concept. It's one that we just are completely unaware of these days. We don't know what these easy wins are. We might never see them again. But we got to get to E. Everything sucks. Um, you alluded to it. Second half starts. Boy, does everything suck. The Chargers go immediately on their first drive, second half, the first drive that we kick the ball off to them. They go 13 plays, 79 yards, and over half of the quarter in time of possession, 7 minutes and 48 seconds. It is a 15-minute quarter, so that is over the 7.5 minute mark. Included a third down conversion and a fourth down conversion on this drive. They punch it in with Gus Edwards. They cut the lead to 13-7. I mean, I'm already like, here we go. This is exactly what we didn't want. It's one thing if you shut them out and you win 13-0 or 16-0 or whatever. That's fine. You can work on some stuff, but the defense played great. Now the defense shows that they're able to be gotten. And the Chiefs, they back it up. It's everything sucks, which includes the offense, with a 3-and-out on the ensuing Chiefs offensive possession, which is just a brutal answer to the first score that you've given up in the game. You have to, and your defense was just out there for 7 minutes and 48 seconds, and you're going to go 3-and-out. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a wonder that the defense even took the field and didn't just go on strike after that. It's crazy. And so after the Chiefs punt, the Chargers get the ball back, and they go 74 yards, but it only takes them 4 plays this time. They get a 39-yard pass interference call on Justin Reed. That, I mean, it was interference. It definitely was questionable, but the Chiefs haven't earned the right to get questionable calls in this game for sure. And then a 24-yard pass to Stone Smart, who had as many catches in this game, 3, as he had all season before this game. And of course, if he's a tight end, he's going to eat against the Chiefs. That's just what tight ends do. So the segments get pretty short. Everything sucks. The Chiefs have given up the lead. The Chargers score again, and it's 14. It's 14-13 Chargers. I mean, that's impossible. Everything sucks.
Everything does suck. I mean, it just is, again, at least for 2 weeks in a row. But it feels like if we were to, it would be an interesting exercise, which we're not going to do, but it would be an interesting exercise if we were to go back and sort of retroactively apply this Chief system to the entire year. I mean, now that we have
Mm.
gained the wisdom that we have gained through, 15 weeks of this season, and we know now what the 2024 Chiefs are, to go back and re-examine these
Yeah,
earlier wins.
it's
I'm
good point.
sure that it would fit this system to a T because it feels like every single week we go through a similar patch in the game where, again, like it's not even that the Chiefs had some games like this last year, like the Dolphins game, for example, where they're up 21 to nothing and it ends up being 21-14 with the Dolphins, in range for the game tying touchdown when
Yeah,
time expires. Like we
yeah.
don't even really have that many games like that. It's always back and forth in the fourth quarter with the Chiefs trailing as often as they're leading. It's not even like they're getting leads and they're not maintaining them. It's like
Yeah,
they're blowing leads
yeah.
and they have to come back in some of these games. It just is it doesn't really matter how it sucks. Like either they have the lead and they blow it, they have a deficit and they come back and tie it and then they blow it again. Everything sucks. I mean, we go through this patch, it feels like in every single game in the second half, and it's kind of a little bit tiresome.
It is tiresome, and I feel the need before I move on to fucking seriously to just kind of underscore the different ways that people consume NFL content when their team is really good.
Mhm.
And by that, I mean, I see a lot of pushback against the idea that from Chiefs fans against the idea that watching the Chiefs is agony. And you know, they don't get it. They don't understand that when you are the team that wins all the time and the team that's going for history and the team with the best players and the team that, you know, by all accounts, by Vegas over-unders and by I mean every prognostication, the Chiefs should be better at football than they're showing by every indication. Now, the win column, you know, they've figured that one out. They figured that part of the game out. But like the process to get there, the script to get there. We always hear you need to be a process oriented and not a results oriented, you know, whether it's an organization or a team or a business or whatever, that the process is more important. And the process for this Chiefs team sucks. It's not a good, it's not entertaining, it's not interesting. It's just well, it may be interesting from like a anthropological perspective, but it's certainly not interesting as a Chiefs fan. So anyway, that's my stand up for the idea that we can go on to this podcast for a 12-1 first place two-time defending champion and talk about how everything sucks. Because when you're watching this system is for watching the game. It's for during the game. I skeeted during the game that by far the best part of being a Chiefs fan is every moment that they are not playing football. And I mean
It's
that.
so
I
true.
mean that
It's
truly.
so true.
Like if they're not playing, I am ecstatic about being a Chiefs fan. But while they're playing, we're going to get to it. Fucking seriously, it's 14-13 Chargers. The Chiefs are driving. It's 2nd and 4 at the Chargers 20-yard line. A 3-yard run by Pacheco should have set up 3rd and 1. But freaking Trey Smith headbutts an opponent getting off the pile right in front of the refs. They see it. They appropriately give him an unnecessary roughness 15-yard penalty, and it's a post-play penalty. So after what should have been a 3rd and 1 easy conversion, it sets up a disastrous 3rd and 16. I was thinking about this, and I think a late hit right before a 3rd and 1, a 15-yard penalty before a 3rd and 1 is like the most devastating single offensive penalty you can get, you know, irrespective of game situation, scores, and all that stuff. If you just think about down and distance and what
Yeah.
that penalty, like a tacked on 15-yarder that would have turned a short 3rd down conversion into one of the hardest conversions in the game, 3rd and 16. What an idiot Trey Smith was in that. I mean, we see this from him actually a lot more than I would like, which is him losing his cool and him fighting with guys and him being I understand he's got to turn on the beast to create that insane wall that he and Creed and Tooney make in the middle of the line, and I get that. And I respect his ability as a right guard, but like he kind of loses his cool every now and then. And so the Chiefs, of course, don't pick up the 3rd and 16. They kick a field goal and they take a very brief 2-point 16 or 16-14 lead on the Chargers. And then before I even get through fucking seriously, the Chargers, of course, answer right back. They go down the field in another ridiculously long drive of 8 minutes and 29 seconds. I know the Chiefs have been kings of long drives, but you know, the Chargers are a three yards in a cloud of dust team, the likes of which the NFL hasn't seen in years. And they end that with a field goal. They take a 1-point lead with 4:35 to go, and it's up to the offense that has barely been able to do anything all game to go win the game. Fucking seriously?
Yeah. I mean, this is crazy because, like you said, 3rd and 1 and then a 15-yard penalty. And you're at the, I mean, you're at the 20. And after the run, you're at the 17-yard line. So
Mm-hmm.
if the Chiefs pick up that first down, which on 3rd and short, they should pick up that first down. I
Yeah,
mean,
they've been
they've got to
killer on
be sure
3rd and short.
90% of the time they're going to get that.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably getting a touchdown in that situation. And if you're at 13, I mean, you could go for 2 to go up 7, but at the very least, you're going to be up
Oh, Andy would have gone for
6.
2.
Yeah. At the very least, you're up 20-14. Now the Chargers need to score a touchdown. And this is a team that hasn't been explosive. They were playing, the Chargers were obviously without Lat McConkey, who's been their best receiver this year. You know, you are scoring a touchdown in this situation is just astronomically better than settling for a field goal. And that penalty almost single-handedly
Yeah.
decides the outcome of this drive, whether it's
Yeah, it was a
going to
4-point
be
penalty. Absolutely.
potentially a touchdown or a field goal. And that completely changes the game situation for the remainder of the game. I mean, Trey Smith had better buy the entire defense, a steak dinner for them bailing him out and holding the Chargers to a field goal. Because if the Chargers go down and score a touchdown in this situation, now suddenly the Chiefs need a touchdown to be able to win it,
Yeah.
and it's just so unnecessary. I mean, the name of the penalty is unnecessary roughness. So yeah, obviously
That's great. It's
by
hilarious.
definition it's unnecessary, but you just don't have to do it.
No.
It's just one of those penalties that there's no excuse for it. Like
Right.
it's and again, like, I get that it's a division opponent, but like, come on, man, it's the Chargers. Like,
Yes.
it's not like it's the Broncos or even the Raiders. Like,
Yep.
and it's
Agreed.
not a team that
Or the
it's not
Bills
a
or
team,
the Bengals
or the
or-
Bengals or the Bills.
Yeah.
Exactly. A team that you have a reason to be chippy with. You
Yeah.
don't really have a reason to be chippy with the Chargers. It's just
Not
the
at all.
Chargers. Now, maybe the Harbaugh factor, maybe Jim coming in there, maybe those Chargers are bringing a new energy that isn't evident from me sitting on my couch and watching the game from home. That's possible. And this Charger team is definitely mentally tougher and probably physically tougher than the Chargers teams that the Chiefs have beaten up on in the past. And Trey Smith
100%.
hasn't been here that long. So, maybe he's just not used to getting, the physicality, the pushback, probably a little bit of chirping from this Chargers team. But you just have to be smarter than that. Fucking seriously.
And look, there are some penalties that you just kind of have to shake your head about, holdings and even, DPIs and all. Like, in play penalties are just guys that that screw up, which is okay to like physically screw up. That's fine. A freaking headbutt on a pile after the play is over is
Right.
it's just losing your cool. It's a mental mistake.
It's not like a blown coverage. Like,
No.
okay, sure, I
No,
get that, but like,
it's just an idiot play. It's a play that bad teams make. That the Chiefs, fortunately, this year, last year they had all the kind of mental mistakes and stuff that were costing them games and turnovers and things that were just kind of bozo mode. But like this year, the one thing the Chiefs haven't done, the one thing,
right,
is be bozos, is
Right.
beat themselves. And early on they had turnover struggles. They've really, really cleaned that up. It's now been 3 games since they've even turned the ball over, and it's just this was a shock. It was a surprise that the Chiefs would do something that dumb. This normally costs teams games, and in fact, against the Chiefs, certainly things like this and much smaller infractions than this have cost teams games against the Chiefs. But we get to S, and of course, we all know what S means, and it's still 1. You all know what happened. The Chiefs' drive, when they got the ball back with 4:35 to go, included a 3rd and 10 after 2 incomplete passes to Isaiah Pacheco, set up what would have been a really interesting call to me. If the Chiefs don't get this 3rd and 10, and let's say they pick up fewer than 5 yards, so they're faced with a 4th and 5 plus. They have 2 timeouts. They have the 2-minute warning. The Chargers really haven't. I mean, they've had a 17-point second half, but like they don't have the personnel. I think Andy punts is what I'm setting up there. If the Chiefs don't convert this 3rd down, I think Andy punts the ball, hopes that his defense holds the Chargers to not a 1st down, and I don't think they could, and I think we lose the game. But of course, Xavier Worthy is open on this play. Pat fades back, finds a really, really nice play under pressure by Mahomes, who was great at the end of this game. And then a short 3rd and 1 run by Pacheco for 2 yards where he just kind of wormed in and did his best Kareem Hunt impersonation and found the 1st down. And then we all remember, the play of the game in a game that didn't have very many plays worthy of play of the game, a 3rd and 7 game-clinching pass to Travis Kelce where Mahomes just okey dokes the rush and just kind of, he said Trav was supposed to run a corner route, but instead he just sat when the corner was covered and just found the soft spot, did what Travis Kelce did. No Chargers around him. The Chargers radio guys, shout out to Clay Wendler for posting the Chargers radio coverage of this game at the end.
Jeremiah, Matt Money Smith.
Daniel Jeremiah, yeah, and Matt Money Smith. They were beside themselves. I mean, just like, how do they not cover Travis freaking Kelce on the play of the game? How did they do it time and time again? The Chargers are literally known for letting Travis Kelce just bend him over and beat him. So He catches it. They set up what was a hilarious and so perfectly Chiefs 2024 doinker for the division off the left upright. Um, harkens back to the Cairo Santos at Denver off the
Yeah,
upright
right.
and in, also by Mike Tirico call there. At, LOL, still won.
Man, I mean, a few observations about this. First of all, this is not a unique point. You may have heard this point made on other podcasts, but the fact that this was a chip shot field goal and it happened to doink in, I think is giving people the wrong impression about the Chiefs being lucky. Now, the Chiefs we're lucky to win this game in a sense because as we have just spent the last 45 minutes discussing, there was a lot of bozo shit that happened in this game. And for them to be in position to kick the game winning field goal with no time left on the clock did involve some good fortune on the part of the Chiefs. That being said, the officiating was fairly one-sided against the Chiefs in this game. And if Matt Wright, the third string kicker, misses that field goal, if it doinks it goes out, the correct response to that would be, wow, that's really unlucky. That's like a really
Yeah.
unlikely thing to
Yes.
happen, right? Like
Yes.
if you're kicking a 35-yard field goal, even with your third string kicker, I mean, the fact that you're on your third string kicker, for one thing, is very unlucky to lose two kickers to injury and be down to your third string guy. But then, especially, I mean, in 2024, the way kickers are kicking, the kicker efficiency in the NFL is at an all-time high. It would be
Correct.
absolutely crazy to suggest that the Chiefs were lucky for making a 35-yard field goal to win the game. They should make a 35-yard field goal to win the game almost every single time. And so the fact that he hits it off the upright lends it this air of improbability that really it doesn't deserve because it should have gone in and it really would have been very unlucky if he had missed the field goal. That being
You know what's
said,
funny?
yeah, hit me.
Number of 2-point victories in the NFL this year since week 10, since November 10th, 2024. Kansas City 3, the rest of the NFL 2.
It's ridiculous. So this is also not a unique observation, but we were talking about this off the air. The Chiefs' last 4 wins have all ended with one team in range for a game-winning field goal at the end of the game on the last play of the game. And the Chiefs have won all 4 of those games, but they've only had the ball in 2 of those games. They obviously blocked the field goal against Denver, and then
Carolina, they kick it.
whatever the Raiders were doing. Yeah, and then obviously kicking the field goals against Carolina and against the Chargers to win the game. It's crazy that I mean, again, the thing that the point that's sort of starting to build momentum around this team, the theme that's sort of starting to build momentum around this team is that they're sort of like engineered in a lab to troll people. Like this is like the ultimate troll team in the history of the NFL. It's not just that they're winning almost every single game. It's the way that they're winning all these games that, like, I mean, if I were a Chargers fan, I'd rather get my ass kicked 40-0 than watch this game. Like,
I agree.
Come in and blow us out. Like, prove to us that you're the better team by far and that we're not in your league and we don't deserve to play in the same division as the back-to-back Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Don't give me hope. Don't give me hope. Don't let the ball doink off the upright and let me think for a half second that, oh my God, we finally beat the Chiefs. Everybody in the NFL, the other 29, 30 teams, besides me as a Chargers fan, oh, they're all going to go to bed happy tonight because the Chiefs have fallen. No, that's not what happened. It doinked and it went in, and the Chiefs win again, and they win again at the last second. And it has to be just unbelievably infuriating. And really, I mean, go back to the play on third down.
Yeah.
I mean, you could hear the frustration in the Chargers color guy's voice, but like, I mean, they speak for the entire NFL fan base. I mean, the entire NFL viewing public, the world. They speak for all of them because Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, 3rd and 7 for the game with the game on the line. I mean, every single time it's like automatic. But it's not automatic because
It's not easy.
he has to juke somebody. Like
Yeah,
there are so many moments, even in just that one play, where as a Chargers fan or as a Chiefs hater, or both,
same thing. Yeah.
you can be watching the game and think, oh, we got it. We got him. This
Mm-hmm.
play's dead. They're not going to
Mm-hmm.
pick this up. The
Mm-hmm.
game is over. We're going to win. And then he just does pick it up. Like it's not like, the best example I think of who Tom Brady was as a quarterback is that final drive in the AFC Championship game in 2018.
Ugh, those 3rd and 10s.
Yeah. We all knew they were going to pick those up. And we also knew that he was going to be throwing to a wide ass open receiver, right? But like he never left the pocket.
Nope.
And the guy that he's throwing to is open. There's no drama to that. Like
No.
It obviously hurts to have your heart ripped out that way, but it just had this inevitability to it that makes it a little bit easier to process. Not so with the Chiefs. Not so, my friend. Not so fast.
Not so.
Because the way that we do it is so chaotic looking that it makes people think it's not going to happen. Like there's just so many. When you've got Pat rolling out of the pocket and throwing sidearm and Travis like going down to his knees to catch the ball to convert, and he's not even running a real route, he's just out there freelancing. Like, what a troll team. This is just an all-time troll team, and let's hope they finish it off with the ultimate troll. I mean, can you imagine?
Oh, I can. I've imagined it many
again.
times. They're insane. So, we're lucky. They still won, and they're 12-1. And they won the AFC West for the 9th year in a row.
They did win the AFC West for the 9th year in a row. The doink for the division. Let's hit the awards. We have 3 types of awards. Of course, we have our 5-star men who are shouting out through their play on the field, I'm a 5-star man. We have our trash men.
I'm the trash man. I come out, I throw trash all over the ring, and then I start eating garbage.
Who are eating garbage all over the field, and we have our wild cards.
Wild card, bitches! Yeah!
Who are capable of anything. I will kick it off. I will take Tershawn Wharton as my 5-star man. 2 sacks in this game, 3 quarterback hits, and I feel bad for Justin Herbert because, man, every time he plays against us, he takes a beating. I mean, and I shouldn't feel bad for him because Patrick took a beating in this game too. I mean, probably one of the all-time beatings that Patrick has taken in his NFL career. There's that Ravens game in 2018, the 4th and 9 game with Tyreek, where he just got beat to shit in that game. And this game was like, there was that Saints game, I think at the end of the 2020 season that we barely won in New Orleans. Yeah. That was another one. This is like right up there with those 2 games as like an all-time Pat gets beat to shit game. Obviously, DJ Humphries has to come out of the game midway through. You've got Wanya Morris cycling in. The tackles are just getting demolished by Tuli Tuipulotu and Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. That is a fierce pass rush. So it was nice to dish some of that back and give Justin Herbert a taste of the Chiefs medicine. 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, 5-star man for me.
Love it. Yeah, he's had a really nice year. Certainly happy to have him on the defensive line. I'll go with Mr. Wright, Matthew Wright, AFC Special Teams Player of the Week for his 4 field goals and 1 extra point in this game. Did not miss one, even though he certainly came close there at the end. The pressure of a kick when we've talked about this in the last couple of weeks, but like you're down 2. You're down 1. Right. You're down 1. And so you're down fewer than the field goal, but you're not tied. So you miss that, you win or lose the game on that kick. And he kind of slipped on his plant foot a little bit, kind of hooked it, but happened to get the inside of the left upright and not the outside, and so the ball ricocheted through. We'll take it any way you can get. He's been very, very solid. Really trustworthy. Certainly not a guy that I freaked out about when he went in. Not like another Matthew stand-in kicker for Harrison Butker, Matthew Amendola, who sucked, but Matthew Wright has been really, really good in his 2 stints with the Chiefs. And, hopefully if the Chiefs pull this 3-peat off, he could his 2nd ring because he got a ring from a couple years ago when he was a stand-in for Butker. So, we're going to be talking about 2-time Super Bowl champion Matthew Wright. It was a great performance by him, 5-star man.
2 more Super Bowl rings than Justin Tucker if he pulls that off, which would
Dang,
be
savage.
incredibly funny. Incredibly funny. Why don't you give me your trash man?
We already covered it, but Trey Smith, that
Yeah.
stupid penalty, that was just inexcusable, and it deserved a trash man award for that single play alone. It cost the Chiefs points, and it was just unnecessary. It was disappointing. So, trash man, Trey, got to do better.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. We also already covered my trash man, but I'm going to give the Nick Kaiser ceremonial trash tight end award to Baylor Cup.
Nick Kaiser, great
I
shout
mean,
out.
yeah, little deep
Man,
cut
that
there
dude
for those
sucked.
of you who don't remember him from the 2020 season.
Yeah.
It, Baylor Cup in this game, he played, let me just check here, 6 offensive snaps, and he got 1 target, and it was 2nd and 10 in deep in Chargers territory, and he biffed it. His NFL stats now consist of 1 game, 1 target, 1 drop. So,
Not great.
it's not great. It's not great at all. In fact, it's extremely trash man worthy. And yes, I'm a little bit annoyed that the Chiefs then immediately took a sack on the next play and had to settle for a field goal on that drive. But they don't have to do that if Baylor Cup could just haul in the ball. And I'm also chuckling to myself here because I am realizing that I spelled his name wrong in the Google document. It's
Yeah.
Cupp and not
Yes, it is.
Kupp. He's the
It's not
bad
like
cup,
Cooper.
not the good cup like Cooper Cup. The bad cup like Baylor Cup. So pretty disappointing. Trash man for him for sure. I'll give you my wild card, and it's going to be DJ Humphries. I mean, we kind of already alluded to this. Obviously, getting the injury when you're in your first game back from injury it is, unfortunately. I don't mean to make light of the injury situation, but that is wild card behavior. When you get back from an injury and immediately suffer a different injury, this time, of course, the hamstring, that is wild card behavior. But you alluded to it too. I mean, it was a tough game from him, but not necessarily unexpectedly tough. You pointed it out. I mean, this is a hell of a defensive line. It's his first game back. He's protecting Patrick Mahomes, who is, let's be clear, a unique quarterback to block for because
Absolutely.
he loves to, he loves to extend his drops. He loves to drift in the pocket. He loves to get far deeper than most quarterbacks are used to getting. He likes to keep the play alive. And those are all things that DJ Humphries, if he's going to be the starting tackle for this team into the postseason, is going to have to get used to. This was a really tough test for him in his first game back. And, what I liked, let's talk about the positive, because that's part of being a wild card too. The physicality, it felt like, was there. The attitude absolutely was there. I mean, the very first play of the game, essentially, it may have been the second play of the game, he's out there talking shit. I mean, you can see him on the broadcast, like, very clearly, getting in people's faces and talking smack. And that is a guy that has been on the roster for all of 2 weeks and is playing in his first game with with the Chiefs, with his new team. So you love to see that. You love to see the attitude. You love to see him bring it. We don't know what the hamstring situation is going to look like, but hopefully he's going to be healthy and available for the playoffs. I still think, again, I mean, this clearly is the guy with the highest ceiling of any of the left tackle options the Chiefs currently have on the roster. So it'd be good to see him recover and play well down the stretch. DJ Humphries, my wild card.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. It was weird. Like, we didn't really. I think everyone was excited about having a new left tackle based on how everything has gone this year, and that kind of gives him a little bit of a pass. He was, fresh into the game and in onto the team, and a hard matchup. So I think wild card's perfect spot for him there. I will go with a guy that this is kind of going to be one of those positive wild card spins. Xavier Worthy. Came up with 3 third down conversions. He had 5 catches on 6 targets. He was the second leading receiver on the day for 41 yards and was reliable. Was a good step forward for a rookie wide receiver that has clearly had his ups and downs. We have and more downs than ups this year. Started off with I thought he was going to be rookie of the year with the Baltimore performance, and then things have been a struggle. But part of that's also been all the injuries in the wide receiver room. I think if he were the third wide receiver on a regular basis, he would be finding his groove and not having to be thrust into this insane situation that he's been thrust into. But Big plays here, including, of course, the game-winning drive, the 3rd and 10 play that he gets open for 14, and looks like a guy that you can trust to make some stuff happen there towards the end of the year, and we're going to need that.
Yeah, coming back to the ball on that play too. I mean, just being able
Yeah.
to fight his way back and play physical on that down, huge play for the Chiefs. So that's a great wild card pick. I can't wait to see him go from wild card to 5-star man, hopefully here in the next few weeks down the stretch and into the playoffs. That brings us to the final portion of our program, which is the preview. The Chiefs are playing at the Cleveland Browns this weekend, and I kind of feel like it's kind of pointless to preview Chiefs games anymore. Number one, because we know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be the new Chiefs system. It's going to be the meme. It's going to be the Chiefs playing down to their opponents and then pulling it out in the end. Is there anything worth discussing with this game or any of the games this weekend that has really caught your attention? Or is this just going to be what we're used to here, another 1917 scrape it out win over the Cleveland Browns?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've tried and failed many times this season to pretend like we knew how the next week was going to play out before it did. I think anything, the other funny thing about this matchup is that we're throwing in anything can happen with the Chiefs, with anything can happen with Jameis Winston, which is
Yes.
just a recipe for football comedy for sure. Maybe not if you're a fan of either of these teams. I'm sure Browns fans and Chiefs fans are both dreading this game. It's gonna be something. My gut feeling says it's going to be a 1917 walk-off safety in overtime, right? Like just just the stupidest ending that anyone's ever thought of. Jameis Winston maybe pulling a Dan Orlovsky and running out the back of the end zone, or just something. Who knows? But it's gonna be crazy and dumb, and the Chiefs are barely going to win. I think everyone is on the same page with that, and anything outside of that would be a pleasant surprise.
Everyone is on board with that. And let's be clear about this too. I feel like I have to take a victory lap and we haven't had an opportunity to do it yet. Those Stump Barstool guys, the PMT guys,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, they told me that Chiefs fans could never use the meme. Yeah, I'm excited to watch my team play. I'm going to kill myself. Nice we won. They said we can never use the meme. It's for unsuccessful teams. It's for bad teams. And they're literally this week now tweeting out. They're taking their meme appropriating. Now I appropriated the meme from somebody else, so I can't get too upset about somebody appropriating the meme than from me. But as the current keeper of the meme and possessor of the meme on Chiefs Twitter, I gotta say I was a little bit offended that they just stole it, tweeted it out. At the same time, I was incredibly gratified that it only took 2 weeks of people actually watching the Chiefs to be like, oh, yeah,
Correct.
I actually totally get why you guys are posting this meme every single week. It does apply to you.
You were right. We were wrong.
We win. We win. And we're probably going to win this weekend as well. I really don't have a lot to say about this game other than, you mentioned it in our ad read. Travis Kelce going back to Cleveland. You've also got Kareem Hunt going back to Cleveland. And not only as a Cleveland guy, but also as a former Brown now. So this is a little revenge game for Kareem Hunt, Could we see Travis Kelce revenge, Kareem Hunt revenge? I don't know. I mean, the Chiefs are not going to blow out the Browns, but we're all hoping that this will be a relatively easy victory. And, while we're talking about it, since we already know how the Chiefs game is going to go, it might be worth mentioning that there's some other really juicy, enticing matchups this weekend that have the opportunity to really help out the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, notably Bills-Lions. That's the one that everyone will have their eyes on. I know it's for a good reason, trendy Super Bowl pick, 10-3 Bills, 12-1 Lions, both teams playing. I mean, I would say out of their minds, but obviously the Bills are coming off a loss this week against the Rams, where they gave up 44 points in Los Angeles. And, the Bills dropped this one. That's their 4th loss. The Chiefs could literally clinch the 1 seed next week against the Texans if they take care of business against the Browns. So you're right. Steelers, Eagles, another really good one. 10-3 Steelers, 11-2 Eagles. Steelers, of course, right up there with the Bills with the same record and chasing the Chiefs. So the NFC could really help the Chiefs out this week. If the 1 and 2 seed in the NFC two of the best teams in football right now. Inside track to go to the Super Bowl. If both of those teams take care of business at home against the two AFC contenders, the Chiefs are going to be sitting pretty.
Let's hope they are. It's always sunny in Chiefs Kingdom. We'll see you next week.